users, so transparently they will also have that application downloaded and installed for them behind the scenes. So definitely just one option. Keep in mind you have another solution in this case to distribute software, something like System Center Configuration Manager or others that we can still leverage those tools, in this case to distribute the Teams client. We'll talk about that also in more detail on the last lesson. So we're talking about the coexistence. Keep in mind that maybe you're wondering what happens about all the existing meetings. Maybe you have a recurrence meeting, let's say with your team, let's say weekly, monthly. So what will happen with all those meetings that you already have on your calendar? In this case, those also will be transitioned for you. So we have a service that is known the meeting migration service, and basically will migrate all those pre-existing meetings in your schedule automatically as you transition to Microsoft Teams. So every time, for example, you migrate a line, it's only in this case, this will also migrate all the meetings in your calendar. Keep in mind also there are also multiple ways to interact and basically trigger that migration. So an administrator can also modify for the audio conference settings, and as they modify also those conference audio settings, for example, I can use the conferencing capabilities in Teams. This will also automatically trigger that migration of all the elements in the calendar. And also every time, for example, a single user is upgraded to Teams only mode, also automatically will just migrate whatever is in that existing calendar. And also keep in mind, you can also run those commands and modify those settings also directly from the command line. So in PowerShell, you can also control and initiate manually the meeting migration service as well. Couple of things that we have control also, you can disable that service you would like to. You can disable that at two levels. So the first one is for the whole tenant, and second one only for the changes related to audio conferencing capabilities. So that's the first lesson. Just for that coexistence, if you have an existing Skype for Business, keep in mind, definitely very useful. Keep in mind you have existing environments running Skype for Business. Actually, this is close to end on life. So actually July 2021 actually will be retiring basically support for Skype for Business. So by that time, definitely you should already have all those clients migrated, transition fully to Microsoft Teams. So let's go with the next lesson. Is plan and configure network settings for Microsoft Teams. So this is independently if this is a migration or a brand new deployment. So definitely it's a good idea to double check that you have enough bandwidth, enough capacity to definitely offer a good end user experience. So we'll see different tools that we have available with that purpose. So let's start with the overview of the Teams networking requirements. So overall we have three types actually of directions in which traffic flows. We're talking about Teams. The first one, keep in mind, the traffic that is sent from that Teams client over to Microsoft 365 on the cloud is one type of traffic. Secondly, also peer-to-peer real-time communication. For example, every time, let's say, I schedule a one-on-one audio or video conference with someone else, definitely will establish like a peer-to-peer link, and the traffic will flow between those two participants of that meeting. And the last one also, if this is one-to-many, also will establish like also that connection, and the traffic will flow between all the participants on that same meeting. This traffic will flow in real time. So basically that's kind of the traffic that we must consider. Definitely this will impact, will depend. Definitely people is working still maybe on the corporate network, and also as people working outside the corporate network. Keep in mind there are some requirements in terms of minimal bandwidth that are required for all those different capabilities that we have available in Teams. So we have tools for that. We need to start from scratch. So definitely super important to double check, for example, in case you have proxy servers, that you're able to connect to the Micro 365 services running on the cloud. You have enough bandwidth, that network health is good. So definitely need to plan those things before actually installing that Teams client. So a couple of tools that we have available for you. So definitely need to start from scratch and figure these things out by yourself. So the first thing that we have available is that network planner. So network planner is integrated into the Teams admin center, and from there You can